My name is Holly Singson George. I am the Greenwich Leadership Forum Board Chair, and it is my great pleasure this evening to introduce and honor our GLF Leadership Award winners, David and Cynthia Kim, tonight.
Well, thank you so much for that, and thank you for having us here tonight. It's a really big honor. When Cynthia told me that you guys wanted to present this award, I thought, man, they really must have run out of people to give it to, or else they just needed some comic relief to warm up for Mark Teixeira. So we're honored to be here, and we appreciate it. We're really not here on behalf of David and Cynthia Kim to accept this, but really on behalf of the families that we serve and also the donors that make our mission possible. And it's families like Tabitha Benia, who lost her dad in Iraq, and then 10 months later her husband was killed also in Iraq in combat. It's families like Jeanette McMahon, who's a West Point graduate. She's a colonel in the Army Reserve. Her husband was killed in a plane crash in Afghanistan. She went on to raise their 3 young boys, and the youngest of those is following their footsteps into service in the Army in a few months. And it's our donors. Many of you are out here tonight, and we just so much appreciate your steadfast support over many, many years. We've seen so many of you at our event. We just can't tell you how much we appreciate your friendship and support. And it's the many companies that support us. We saw some of those on the video. And it's also just regular Americans like Matt Vaca, who, as a young man, lost both his parents, not through the military, but he became an orphan. He was called to our mission, and he's raised so much awareness and funding for what we do. And in fact, at 31 years of age, he just resigned from a high-powered job on Wall Street, and he's going to join the Marines, and he goes to OCS in a couple of weeks. So there's just so many stories like that of truly incredible people that we've been blessed to get to know that we're representing here tonight. It's also great to be in a room full of people of faith. Fallen Patriots is run as a strictly secular organization, but in terms of our personal motivation, a lot of that really does come from our faith, because we feel like God has called us to this mission and has worked our background together and put us in this place to do this job. And so we've been called to it. But we truly are proof that God, you really don't have to be anything special for God to use you for a purpose. Just like St. Paul said, the Lord uses the weak and despised things of the world so that none can boast, and we can only boast in the Lord. And that's very true in our case. I'm probably the last person you would pick to be an example of a good Christian. I've made a ton of mistakes along the way, but God's grace is new every day, so that keeps us coming back and fills us with hope. A lot of times folks ask us, what's it like to do this mission together as a couple? And we say, yeah, it's great. You know, half the time it's power couple. The other half of the time it's the Jerry Springer show. So. But it is a lot of fun. It's a huge blessing to be able to work with your best friend in doing this job. I will take a minute to boast on Cynthia. From the very beginning, she has been the one to lead the outreach to the families that we serve, and to see the way she has poured her heart into so much caring and love and devotion and support to all those families is just an incredible inspiration. So I am truly the most blessed man in the world to be married to you. So Cynthia and I started Fallen Patriots in 2002 to honor the memory of Sergeant Delaney Gibbs. He and I served in the Army in '89 when we were sent down to Panama to remove Noriega from power. And unfortunately, Sergeant Gibbs got killed in the fighting. And that was a couple of days before Christmas. And he had a baby daughter due in March. And he was only 21. So that was a really tough one. I didn't know him personally, but he was the only member of our unit to be killed. And so that really stuck with all of us in terms of, what's going to happen to that little girl, who's going to take care of her. And so we thought the best way to do that would be to invest in the future of the people that our fallen heroes love most, their kids. And so we have our mission to provide those students college scholarships and educational counseling. We've been able to provide, thanks to you, many of you in this room, $22 million of support to just about 1,100 students, about half of which have now graduated from college entirely debt-free. So, thank you. So that's not us. That's a testament to you guys, but it's also proves the wisdom of St. Paul again, where he wrote that I planted, Apollos watered, and the Lord brought the increase. And that's certainly been the case with us. When we got saved a few years after that, we realized we'd never actually turned our mission over to the Lord. And so we prayed about that and did it. And then it was amazing to see the blessings and the opportunities that he just unleashed on fallen patriots. And so I would just speak a word of encouragement to maybe somebody out there who has a mission on their heart, feel like they're being called to something. Just take that first step out of the boat, and God's not going to bring you on a mission only to let you fail. And for me, I've always thought about Teddy Roosevelt's words of do what you can with where you are, with what you have right now, and then I'm sure the Lord will do the rest. So we just want to thank you again for having us here. Your support of our mission really sends a tremendous message to our military families that their countrymen and women will never forget their sacrifice. And there's a young lady named Haley Hartwick who we helped go to college. She works with us now at Fallen Patriots, just a wonderful young lady. Her dad, Michael, got killed in Iraq. He's an Apache pilot and got shot down. And he has a inscription on his headstone that says, I live because you remember. And so that's what you're doing here tonight. And I'm sure that when you go to heaven, he's going to thank you for taking care of his little girl. So thank you very much for having us.
So I had a really hard time thinking of what I would say to you all. I mean, I really consider myself a stay-at-home mom and housewife, and I love those things. And I didn't know what I would say to a room full of business leaders. So I just thought I would share two things that the Lord did as I just wrestled with what will I say to this crowd. And he reminded me that I do this with my husband. And that's truly humbling because a lot of you who are my good friends know Dave and I have had our share of struggles. And, he's not only my husband, but we're investors in a business that we're trying to build together through Fallen Patriots. He's the CEO of Fallen Patriots, so therefore he's my boss. And a lot of times, we struggle. And I look at the time, God reminded me of all the struggles and times that I wanted to just quit, and I didn't. He didn't let me. And we just celebrated 21 years of marriage last week, and it's overwhelming. Yeah. And what God showed me is not only did I use you as a couple to do the work of Fallen Patriots, but I used Fallen Patriots to strengthen you as a couple. So it's truly humbling. The other thing God showed me and reminded me is GLF, I want to thank you for the article that you arranged for us to have written about our story in the Sentinel. Richard Kaufman, the writers here, we had such a wonderful experience writing telling him our story, because we don't take a lot of time to reflect on how we started. We started in our home, making phone calls from our home, and just hoping to help a couple of kids, and not knowing where this would go. Now we've helped 1,100 kids, and we've got 7,000 that are enrolled with us that need our help, and it's only going to continue to grow, and it's completely overwhelming. But what the article reminded me of was when Dave came to me after years of talking about this, and it's all he talked about since I met him, and I thought, well, that sounds great. It's a great dream. And he came to me when my son Seth was newly born, and my son Whit was 2. And I was sitting on a couch I bought in college, and he came to me and he said, we're going to do this. And he said, we're going to put our own money and we're going to do this. And I looked at him and I said, we have money because I need a couch. And, I didn't want to pour my life into this work. And I thank God because I really didn't want this to go forward, but God didn't let me block it. And if I had, so many children wouldn't receive the help that they have. And it's truly humbling to be up here, and this isn't about me. I really want to tell you it's about the children that we help. It's truly an honor to represent these families. And just before, when I was struggling with what to say, I walked in, was about to walk out the door. I got an email, and it was from one of our widows. And her subject line was, "Great news to share. Thanks again for your support of Maxwell. As he sifted his way through the application process, his dream was always to go to Stanford. But with less than 5% acceptance rate, he knew he needed to apply to the other schools as well. The assistance provided by the foundation allowed him to apply to many and dream about going to Stanford. And guess what? He got into Stanford." And he received a ton of academic scholarships. Hooray for Max, and hooray for Children of Fallen Patriots, who helped a kid achieve his dream. Maxwell is going to Stanford. So I just want to say thank you to you all for what you're doing to help us so we can help kids achieve their dreams. And in the process, we honor the service and sacrifice of their lost parent. And those heroes should never be forgotten. So thank you, and God bless you.